Welcome to the CEO series. Our guest today is Hessa Al Ghurair, Senior Director, Human Capital at UAE General Civil Aviation Authority and CEO of Happiness and Wellbeing. Our topic is from the C-suite to the boardroom. To give you some background, Hessa is an accomplished human resource executive, strategic advisor, and business development leader, offering over 18 years experience as a key member of various executive teams, charged with driving a strategic people agenda, happiness, well-being, data, and business evaluation, recruiting, rewards, talent, training, and development. What a large portfolio. Her working experience in both the aviation and banking industry, with all the major brands in the UAE, she has become a trusted advisor to senior business and government leaders, as well as stakeholder and business advisor in the UAE across all specters of human resource and the organization. She is requested to be a keynote speaker and awards judge throughout the UAE and beyond. And with that, I'd like to welcome Hessa. So good to see you again.
Hi, Ron. It has been ages.
It has been ages, but so glad that you carved some time out of your calendar on this Friday so that we can have this conversation. I want to talk a little about your career, because you've gone from banking to the government.
Yeah.
You work for basically so many of the major brands throughout the UAE. What do you see as the major difference in making that transaction, that transformation?
You know, frankly speaking, Ron, where I have least worked industries, from banking and finance into aviation, I have moved from the private sector to the public sector. For one reason, I wanted to serve a purpose and be closer to the community and try to make sure that I'm part of the total government agenda, rather than the purpose of, the profit when you look at the private sector. Also, looking at the government sector, they are more tuned into sustainable growth than commercial sector can be. However, most importantly, I have concentrated on my transferable skills. I think being in banking for so long, I've learned a lot from them, from each and every bank that I worked with and every project. Hats off to each and every individual helped me from the very beginning. I joined the banking as a graduate trainee.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it feels like yesterday, actually. So I've been trained by so many leaders and experts. I've gained a lot of skills. One of them is business strategy, relationship management, culture change, talent management, and I think greatly contributed to my current role as well. So moving to my new role helped me to ensure that I can transfer all the skills that I've learned, being able to add value to the General Civil Aviation, provide out-of-the-box thinking, people initiative, drive culture, and again, HR strategy and planning.
Well, Dubai government could be ranked as it relates to strategy, along with any organization, private sector, public sector. Was it a hard transition to walk out of the banking and commercial side to the government? I know you said purpose was a driving force.
I don't think it was hard. I really wanted to join government the government sector from the very beginning when I graduated. But unfortunately, banking were probably more aggressive in attracting graduate at that point of time. And when I got the chance after 18 years, I just seized the opportunity and I said, fine, it's time. It's time that I experience something new, learn something completely different. Aviation is challenging, and getting to learn everything around it, and going through the COVID and what we have actually learned. So it accelerated a lot of ideas and even processes around human resources per se.
As a trusted advisor to the C-suite and boards that you've served on and you're a part of, you've always had a seat at the table. How would you advise people starting out in their career if their endpoint or their strategy was to become a leader that deals with C-suite or even becoming a member of the C-suite, what advice would you give someone? I mean, you've made that transition.
Frankly speaking, the way I see it, that HR leaders need to get off their perch and get into the trenches. No matter how senior a leader you are across all line of business or function, you provide competitive value and drive significant collaboration when you take time to immerse yourself on the ground. Collaboration and talking to people on the ground, be it your customer or workforce. This is how you get to understand what is really required. What are the gaps, and then you start to learn how can you address them by actually exploring new opportunities. So being closer to the leaders by walking the talk, being closer to the employees, to the customer, and understanding what are the requirements. Here you will be able to gain trust of all the leaders around you, because you'll be able to quickly address the gaps and give a quicker solution on different challenges that they might be facing.
So getting that seat at the table, did you feel comfortable your first time sitting in that C-suite meeting or discussion, as well as boards?
I think first time was really difficult, and that was back in my Tanfeed days under Emirates MBD. That was difficult. I couldn't sleep the night before, frankly speaking. So, first of all, I was the only female will be walking into that room, not used to basically the energy. It's completely different energy.
Yeah.
Speaking to the board members, but it wasn't easy. But I'm really thankful to my land manager who was there and who made it very clear that yes, I understand that you are nervous, but I'll be there if you need any help. Just let me know and I'll be there because I'll support you regardless. So since we're speaking now, I mean, I used to report to Suhail bin Tarraf. He was the CEO of Tanfeed, and I believe I think so many Emiratis owe him a lot because he was there when we basically needed him. All these meetings, tough conversation, challenges, he'll be there and he'll listen to us and address the concern.
I think that's where we met at 10 feet.
Yes.
I'm almost sure that's when it was. Well, I'm glad you were honest enough to say I couldn't sleep the night before because my nerves were shot. And I know I had to go into that room, which is a common occurrence your first time there. But I'm sure the more you came back and the more you were put in that position again, you know, the comfort zone kind of kicked in.
That's true. I think it takes time to mature that whole process and understanding how to handle your feelings, especially my feelings. I'm talking from my own point of view. Especially, and I'll be very open, I don't know how many people are there with us today, so thank you for joining us. Being the only female and all males, I always start suspecting the ideas I'm going to say. It might be not the right thing. They probably have heard it before. How can I say it in a way that they'll accept it, like they accept it from each other's? It's just the format. But that's what I said in the beginning, is walking the floor and getting closer to the business leaders give you that confidence that I understand the language of business and I can address it in a very professional manner. And I can be a thought partner as well by being able to address their concern and coming up with the right solution.
Yeah. So that's a double whammy on the back, you know, being the only woman that was in the room. But coming from the business side and understanding the business, because the term you used was language of the business and not HR language. Yeah. Could you kind of expound on that a little bit?
To begin with, frankly speaking, Ron, and before setting up Tanfeed, I was seconded to IBM to learn more about business operation and how they actually handle setting up businesses and how do they actually operate. So I spent around 8 months working with the transformation team between the US and Philippines. And there where I understood exactly if they're setting a call center, for instance, what is really required and the tone that is used. So first of all, having the right culture, in case you're setting a new organization, what is the culture you're trying to set? As well as the objectives of the whole business, getting to understand your talent, where do you want to hire people from, how does it really look like? So being through this curve, basically, of how to start a business, where to start it from, and getting into all the nitty gritty helped me a lot during my career. That's why I keep referring to Template, because
Yeah.
that was a great change from
Yeah.
my banking job to setting up a company and trying to pull things around, that things that I haven't tested before. It's
Mhm.
new, experts are there, so I had to work with all the experts around the clock. So I remember you having meetings at 11 p.m. trying to understand particular
Mm.
jargon about the whole business and how can I
Yeah.
address it, because they will tend to come and say, probably use terminologies that it's quite common when we
Yeah.
talk about BPO, and I'll be like, sound more of Chinese to me. Now I need to learn all of these. So I had to learn all of that after working hours, frankly speaking, just to know what does it really mean. Okay, what am I
Yeah.
supposed to say? So yeah, it takes a lot it takes a lot from a person to gauge to the business language and understand what do they mean with each and every word.
Yeah.
I cannot sit there and keep nodding my head yes, and I'm clueless about what's this language. It's new to me. I'm used to human resources, but business
Yeah.
operation,
Yeah.
it's new. It was
Yeah.
new to me, frankly
Yeah.
speaking.
Yeah. Learn the key business fundamentals. I heard someone mention to me one time they were sitting in a meeting year over year and they never understood what EBITDA was. Earnings before interest, taxes, deduction, and the depreciation. And so I said, why didn't you ask? He said, because I was afraid to ask, because I wanted everyone to think I knew it, what it was. And so I always said, if you ask the question, I'm sure there's two or three other people in the room wanted to ask the same thing, but probably were afraid to ask. So 18 years, and you would now be considered at the pinnacle of your career. You've seen a lot as it relates to the change from human resources. I've seen you speak multiple times on big stages. What do you see as the a few of the major transformations that human resources have gone through as you look back on your career and being kind of a trailblazer, being one of the top human resource executives in the Middle East?
Ooh, that's a difficult question now, especially now with the whole COVID and what really happened. I think one thing hasn't changed, that people will always come first, and that
Mhm.
approach will always be there, and they'll be the center of attention, be it employee of the organization or the customer. Now, one thing's to remember that only people will help the organization get through a crisis, and COVID was a great, I would say, catalyst for the whole change. We've seen
Yeah.
how overnight we started working remotely and having all our meetings remotely. It was a complete change. But again, if we weren't that agile, we wouldn't have made it. Now, this is new to all of us, I understand. But besides ensuring that we have fluid workplace and the way we start communicating and addressing our employees, there is one key really important is the culture, and how leaders are walking the talk, even during the pandemic and when we
Mm.
were working from home. Um, Leaders were there addressing the employees and their concern. Now, there were two things during the last couple of months as uncertainty. We don't know where are we heading to and for how long we're going to be at a lockdown. And second, how are we going to be evaluated as employees? I think
Mm.
that as well was really key. We don't know, are we
Yeah.
going back to office tomorrow? How does it really look like? That all goes back to culture. So, frankly speaking, regardless how HR transform, people will always continue to be the center of attention, and ensuring the customer experience, employee experience per se, it gets better and better, and the culture that connect all of us and the
Mm.
values that we talk and address and behave probably while having all the remote meetings.
Yeah. I saw an article the other day concerning leadership post COVID, and they were talking about competencies pre COVID and how there's a new level of leadership competencies is going to have to be developed for new leaders moving forward. And one of the quotes in that article talked about a board member who said his CEO froze and was basically unable to operate because there was so much ambiguity and he wasn't able to, to kind of sense the role that he was going to play and drive that forward. So my question to you, what do you see as the major learnings that you as a senior executive have learned from this period?
I think the first point, frankly speaking, is acceleration of digitization.
Mm-hmm.
That's a key thing. And as I mentioned before, COVID-19 worked as a catalyst for so many changes. And one of it is digitizing human resources, not only human resources, that also include finance, procurement, and administration as well. According to EY, recent report, HR professionals spend about 86% of their time on admin work within HR.
Yeah.
Leaders must accelerate digitization to
Yeah.
liberate HR to deliver new people service to the workforce. Leaders will have to walk the talk and ensure that they're part of of this journey. Now we understand that the first obstacle to such changes are people. And if we don't have the leaders really embracing this change and walking the talk when it comes to digitization, I don't think HR or other support functions will be able to leap all these changes and accommodate the new, I would say, workforce and the new services that is required. Speaking of which, there would be an increase the investment would increase when it comes to automation and the usage of artificial intelligent technology as well. And if we do so, we'll start to limit the admin and helps to forecast business talent needs.
Okay.
This also would free up time for HR to focus more on people service and
Yeah.
business talents strategy. The third one that I can think of is people analytics and organizational design and development is enabled by next generation data technology
Mm-hmm.
in ways we have never seen it before.
Yeah. In talking about data and analytics, your firm or you won an award from CIPD on tech and analytics utilization a while back, before this even came to be the big talking point today. What was that about, that award that you won from CIPD?
Yeah, I'm really glad that you still remember that, Ron. That was, I believe, the time when we met. That was back in Tanfield, and yes, it was using HR technology to develop predictive index for staff attrition at the organization, and we also used gamification for employee engagement, learning, and development, as well as reward and recognition. I think it's really important. It's really important work for all HR to get their basics right when they start to set their their HR metrics. Probably start with 10 and make sure that they have the brilliant basics right and focus constantly on improving them, on what to track exactly, how to measure, and constantly give feedback to improve these metrics. When you have the right metrics in place, you can use the outcomes to plan future workforce. Frankly speaking, back in Tenfield, we were able to provide real-time insight into an employee career and development. And this is what the business leaders really wanted. They want to see everything on the dashboard, what's really happening on my floor. So that started with employee career and development. It also helped us to detect attrition risks, shape taken pipelines, and also predict learning curves and performance. So it was easy to know that, for instance, we will be promoting 5 people in 3 months. So when their cycle would start for hiring their replacement, and then mirroring the attrition and ensuring that we probably entertain some of these attrition and ensure that my top performer do not leave me. So it was easy to differentiate whom to retain and keep within the organization and whom to easily replace and get fresh people into the system.
Yeah. So that's two trains of thought. And then I thought about when you mentioned the 85% from the EY article, because I think it was GE Healthcare in India automated 85% of their HR processes. And they took their teams and upskilled them, strategy, analytics, and built a new team, a new focus. Whereas another potential client didn't work out, was going through the same process, and his mindset was to start laying people off because I'm not going to need them. So what you're talking about is analyzing the level of talent you have on a team and begin the process of upskilling them. Whereas the other
Yeah,
one said, we're just going to lay these people off. Yeah. So was that
yeah, that's
so if you're spending the money on that side, was that a hard sell to convince leaders to say, we can still use these people and upskill them?
yeah. This is what I said in the just a while ago. When it comes to culture, if I really believe that I have the right talent, I have to start upskilling them. Now, two things would require: data analytics, and that's a set of new skills within human resources that I need to bring in on board, and also start upskilling my human resources team. Now, there is a fact that human resources been using technology to digitize or automate processes, but they never looked at it as a major change in terms of adopting artificial intelligence or even algorithm to start reading I would say the attrition or even the sorting out their CVs. Now they will have to look at it from a different lens. First of all, ensuring that we have investment there to invest within the organization and our people, and still import new skills within the organization in order to shadow and get them up and running at a very I would say faster time rather than spending more years getting into the
Mm-hmm.
learning curve itself.
Okay. What are some key building blocks that HR should look into when they're trying to design the HR strategy? Every other function has a strategy connected to the strategy of the organization. What are some key building blocks from your side? And you've done these so many times in designing people strategy for organizations. What's some learnings that came about from that?
I think there are four core building blocks when it comes to HR. It is the tactical application of these and how they are constantly evolving and improving, which is leading to the reinnovation of human resources. But to start with, and I believe this is a core, is recruitment, talent management, and people. It means um, it means you are developing it means you are developing the right process to recruit the talent that you really need. You just spoke about the future skills. So what are the skill sets that are needed for the future? That also includes the right behavior. And here where technology kicks in with all the assessment, psychometrics, to start filtering if this is the right fit for my organization, beside the skill set or not. Looking at the workforce, I think the new application would help. It's also increasingly important. We're looking for an employee life cycle, improving the staff onboarding as well as offboarding experience. So employees are always loyal to the company and the brand they're working for. Also applying strategic thinking to restructuring roles and function, applying data analytics to talent mapping and succession planning. That all start at the very beginning of the employee life cycle when joining the organization. Second is development and growth. This includes learning and acknowledgement and knowledge development for fostering a new working lifestyle. As we say now, things have changed. Like we are seeing today, which means remote working, flexible, and also that also
Mm-hmm.
talks about how flexible these processes may end up to look like, and is that really aligned to the business strategy? Employees would always want something, and the strategy would demand something else. How can we ensure that they all talk the same language? Also, the virtual teams across geographics who are engaged and motivated as well. That is key of employees' growth as well. Third, I'd say insight and evaluation. HR technology, big data, and AI are enabling HR to provide business with predictive analytics on their workforce to strategically align evaluation to business needs, to develop value-based targets, and have strategic voice at the table, which providing constant
Yeah.
feedback, data-based decision, and insight on human capital. It's all based on data at the end of the day. Lastly, and this is really close to my heart, it's reward recognition and the whole culture part of it. It's amazing how important this element to bring people together, and it helps with attrition, with development of talent, integrates brand loyalty, develops motivation and positivity in the organization and culture. Reward recognition and culture helps celebrate learning and success of company, success story, get it embedded with the new process, and provides proof points on how employees are delivering on a business goal or objectives, drives ownership and accountability as well. In times like now, appreciation should be played.
Yeah, that's key. You know, you're CEO of Happiness and Wellbeing. Can you tell us a little about that?
I think I learned that from you when I first time. You know, positivity and
okay.
Well, as you know, happiness, well-being, and
okay, hold it 1 second, Hessa. Your sound is breaking up. Can you check your microphone?
Sure. Okay, sorry. Can you hear me now, Ron?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
Sorry, I think with the system got excited speaking about happiness and positivity. So now, speaking of happiness and positivity, it's one of the main agenda when it comes to as well, looking at the well-being of the workforce at the organization. So basically, look at everything from end to end, ensuring motivation is there, so engagement of the employees, ensuring that it's not only about happiness, it's ensuring that we're fit for the job. So we've got a lot happening around sports and being part of Dubai 3030 and being aligned to what's really happening when it comes to the agenda. Recognition and reward is part of it as well, ensuring that staff are being heard in different venues, and collaboration with the strategic partner within the organization. So it covers everything: life cycle of an employee, engagement, the way we celebrate address concert. That includes learning as well, and how much we can share and transfer across function. We call it across sector when it comes to the education, giving back to my stakeholders and then sharing knowledge.
When you mentioned that, as we were talking about wellness and happiness, my first speech in Dubai was to the Dubai Government HR Association, and my topic was wellness and happiness in the workplace. This goes back 4 years or so ago, and I came across one of those photos the other day, so it was kind of a flashback. And this was probably before the happiness piece started, whereas Dubai government has a big initiative around that. So the question I wanted to ask you, like, you've gone through from success to success, your leadership style, how would you describe your leadership style, and how has it kind of transformed over the years as you've stepped higher and higher on the ladder?
Frankly speaking, I don't really like to put myself into one bucket when it comes to leadership. I think it's really important to coach the team. It's a very important element, empowering my team as well, providing direct vision and purpose to my workplace, helping to create an environment that allows people to speak up, debate, challenge. Safety and well-being is part of it. Inspire staff to be transformative and encourage constant learning and development as well. Those are really important characteristics that I would like to think I bring to my team. And sometimes I get really in a corner that I cannot cope up with the amount of speaking that's really happening, and I'm like, okay, I'm done. Give me a break today. We'll continue it tomorrow.
Yeah, we all get to that point at some time or another. What advice would you give to young women? I'm going to say women because you're such a trailblazer, that you possibly had to overcome as you moved throughout your career. What advice would you give to women who are just starting out in the business world?
Just follow your passion. I believe passion what drives us at the end of the day. I'm really like for me, I'm really passionate about what I do when it comes to human resources, strategy, and people. I really like it. I love to be there and like talking to people, talking to employees, addressing gaps, and trying to challenge. That I get really tired of being challenged sometimes, and I just give up and say, "Fine, I believe you guys are right." But yeah, passion. Just you have it there, the gut feeling. You have it into you. I mean,
Yeah,
just go with it. I mean, you're doing fabulously well, but sometimes we reach that point where we start doubting, and here
yeah.
where I normally go to my coach and say, I'm in the middle of this road. I don't know which way to go.
Okay.
And I think having a coach really helps to just clear your mind and ensure that you are on the right track and you're not losing it. It's part of life.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up, because it's okay to have a coach. And so many people, and I know a lot of executive coaches, but so many executives feel that if I have a coach, maybe I'm not good at what I do. So talk to that as to what decided you to say I need a coach, and for someone who may be struggling in leadership, to let the guards down and let someone and share that and develop that relationship. Can you talk to that a little bit in any dynamic that you'd like to?
Um, well, I'll share my experience, Ron. Speaking of a coach, I don't think any of us is perfect, like
Mm,
100% perfect. Even when you look at the diamond process, starting from a charcoal and the way that the
yeah.
whole process that go through to be able to shine, and the more it's being processed and being put under pressure, it actually shines much better and sparkles. So I truly believe that I know that probably I have my own areas of development. I'm not perfect at everything that I do. I need help sometime and I need to reach out. For me, the beginning, as I said, I also help Taraf a lot. The beginning that happened with assigning a coach to me, that was back in Tenfid, 2015, 14, I believe. In the beginning, I didn't like it because he assigned me to a person that was probably talking more than listening to me. So I was like, fine, I'm not going to meet this person again. And then ended up with a beautiful person who actually teaches at Harvard. And since then, we've been together into this journey. Says a lot about just brainstorming. If I need a shoulder to cry on, I just cry remotely,
Hmm.
I believe,
Yeah.
and voice my thoughts, because most of the time I'll be having the right idea, but I'll have 100 other ideas stopping me from implementing it.
Hmm.
So just having that 1 hour call with her and listening to how things actually evolve, and the emotional side of things, and say, Hassan, it's okay, you can actually do it. Even my
Mm,
transition from banking and finance, by the way, from banking to the government, I had to go through the
mhm.
same cycle. Is it the right time? Should I just wait and retire in a couple of years? Is this the right moment? But it just helped a lot. And now I have two, actually. I have two coaches that help me. I don't think it's endless, and I would encourage each and every leader to have one. It's like a sounding board. You speak to
Yeah.
them, and they
Yeah.
advise you. It's not like you are right or wrong. It's more of,
Yeah.
I think, like a mutual understanding that
Yeah.
I'm happy to hear. I want to hear your
Mm.
views.
Yeah. That sounding board. One of the key things you
Yeah,
mentioned there, the first coach you met. So in coaching, the first session is a chemistry. I call it chemistry session to see whether we
yeah, yeah.
click. You know,
Yes.
and that was okay to say no, this is not going to work because the chemistry just wasn't there, which is important. Thank you so much for being a part of the CEO series today. Thank you very much, everyone who attended, and we'll see you for our next CEO series. Stay tuned for the next announcement and who that guest will be, as well as the topic over the next few weeks. So thank you very much. Thank you.